Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the URC. This one, Bulls taking on Leinster. Now, there are quite a few international players missing for Leinster here, and that is where the Bulls have to really capitalise. They have the biggest opportunity to end Leinster's winning streak, currently 12 in a row throughout this URC season. This is the way that the table sat just before the Sharks got themselves the victory over Zebre, so they will be moving up to 44 in the overall standings now for points, and Zebre getting 2 bonus points after having just that narrow margin. But Leinster 12 from 12 with a points differential of 194, which is absolutely insane. The Bulls, they've had a pretty good start to this URC season, although thrown away a couple contests in those South African derbies, but still a very strong side making their way onto the park. Looking through for the Bulls, it is going to be in the front row to Shakveni alongside Aka van der Merwe and Wilco Low, Ruan Vermaak and Jaya van Heeren. They will make up the locking duo with Marcel Kurtzia, Kristen at number 7, and Cameron Honeycomb returns. And at the number 8 jersey, he's been out for a few weeks, so it is great to see him now back in the action. And Bros Papier alongside Keegan Johannes as that 19 combo. Harold Foster and David Creel in the midfield. And then out on the wing, Stravino Jacobs, Sebastian de Klerk out on the other, and Villy LaRue returns into that number 15 jersey. Now, he's had quite a bit of success from that 10 position in just recent times. So hopefully we get to see him do all right at 15. And this matchup for Leinster, they have got Jack Boyle alongside John McKee and Slimani as the front row. Argie Snyman, so back on South African soil here, the big man with Mangain as the number 5. Deegan, Connors, and Colhane will make up the loose forward trio with McGrath and Ross Byrne in the 19 channel. I think that one thing that might be lacking a little bit for Leinster in this contest is that usual forward physicality. That's not to say that these guys can't get the job done. It's just more so we're that used to seeing all those Irish internationals in there, whether that's Fundam Flower, Doris. You know, you've got all these guys that are absolutely phenomenal at keeping that breakdown moving swiftly. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on this Leinster pack. Geordie Barrett and Cooney will make up the midfield. Osborne out on one wing, Timmy O'Brien out on the other, and then Tommy, I should say. It is not Timmy and Jimmy, it is Tommy and Jimmy as the O'Briens in the back 3. Looking at the chat here, we have got there, enjoy doing 2 games at once, buddy. I'd appreciate that if all possible. Says Robert, well, we are going to be giving updates on that Stormers matchup. That is, of course, happening at the same time up against the Scarlets. Sharks did not play as well as I had anticipated. If the Zebre player was not sent off, Sharks would have lost the game, says JT. And I mean, it was game management at its finest for the Sharks at the end. But yeah, I agree. They really did struggle. But they knew that they had the strongest scrum, and that eventually that would lead to the points that they did require. We have got their Impala fighter jet crashed at Earshow near Cape Town minutes ago. Saw a video on Facebook, says Albert, so that is really not ideal. Congrats Sharks, great win, says Eric. And yeah, Zebre, honestly, like a really, really solid performance. So absolutely insane to see a side that were counted out so much to somehow almost beat them. It was actually like, it would have been a massive upset, that is for sure. These are the last 4 results for the Bulls. They had the loss to the Stormers, then they beat the Stormers by the 1 point. They lost to the Sharks, then they beat the Lions. So the trend at the moment is it seems to be very much a bit up and down for the Bulls for the form, I should say. But we will go like this. We will quickly check the odds. And we will go like that. There we go. These are also the upcoming games that we are going to see. The Bulls next week taking on Zebre and Sharks taking on Leinster. So the 2 sides switching around. And then for Leinster, in terms of what they have done recently, they beat the Ospreys by a narrow margin. And then they were able to get themselves the big win over the Cardiff side. But honestly, this game is unpredictable. And I think that last match certainly proved that too. This is what I like about the Sharks. They have learned to do the most important. Look at the scoreboard. says Eric. See, that's the thing. Like, they do still get the bonus point. And, you know, in the overall table, the way that it sits, like, yes, we know it was a close game, but on the table here, you know, you just see that the Sharks are now in third with the overall standings. And, yeah, that's exactly what they would have wanted. The full 5 points, 27 points to 22. And Go the Bulls says Gerhard in there as well. But by the sounds of it, it is a great afternoon at Loftus, which is sensational because, of course, we want to see plenty of running rugby between these two sides, both in the top 4 of the competition. Both have plenty more to offer. Even though Leinster are 12 wins from 12, I think that these young guys, they could become important later on in the season, definitely if there are any sort of injuries to their main players. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. Do let me know your score predictions as well, ladies and gents, for this contest. Looks like we're only about 2 minutes away from the kickoff. Hamish is back, says Ruth. And game of the season, says George. This one, or I assume you're not talking about that Sharks versus Zebre game, and they lose the match. Says Eric, and compare Sharks and the Bulls. Bulls have a great scrum, most centuries in 22, all ball on attack, and then what? Says Eric. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, their record at the moment this year only sitting at a 66% win rate, which is a little bit lower than I think some people would anticipate for a Bulls side to the caliber that they are. It is great that they've got Cameron Honeycomb back, as he is going to be one of the big keys. 27 degrees Celsius at the moment. Hi again, tough game to call. Says Lilia. Let's have a score prediction. Is that from myself? I'm normally pretty good at being impartial, but I think that the Bulls should win. But honestly, if that last game between Zebre and the Sharks is anything to go off, the underdog might have a decent crack here. They are just showing their midfield combo of Harold Foster alongside David Creel. I think Creel's in for a big game here. In fact, if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would say that he's got a pretty good chance of crossing the try line before the end of this contest. I did talk about the odds just before. We will just have another quick look to see whether or not they have changed just before the kickoff. Where are we? There we go. It's taken place in only about 15 seconds time. Geordie Barrett in the midfield they have just said about as well. And then Jimmy and Tommy O'Brien at the back. Bulls mid-8. How many of the Leinster team playing here is in the best 23 starting team, says Eric? Well, the best way of putting it is Leinster have 17 international players not there. So that tells you everything you need to know. Normally, they would have a lot more oomph in their lineup, but that is why they brought in the likes of Geordie Barrett, Arge Snyman, to be able to help control a game when those main guys are absent. Should and will, miles apart, says Lilia B, and the Sharks might be a third place, but it is a scrappy performance by the Sharks. Leinster will beat the Sharks if the Sharks play like this. Yeah, I mean, 20 handling errors is unacceptable, isn't it? Like, for a team the caliber of the Sharks, why can't we escape Barrett? Says RIP. And also we have their Bulls. We'll have to do the work. Leinster will snatch it if they don't. Looks like now the Bulls are making their way out of the tunnel. Led out by... Is that their mascot with some sort of like sparklers coming out of the horns? That is unique. I don't think I've seen that before. Probably should have, to be fair, since we've covered quite a few Bulls games. Okay, 7 of the Bulls top team are also not there. So it is going to be tight, says Eric. Yeah, it is great that they've got Cameron Honeycomb back, though. I'd say that they are more than happy with that man's return. I can't hear the stadium from my house, says RIP, and come on the boys in blue, says Richard. Which ones? Out of curiosity, the Bulls are wearing the light blue today. Leinster, I believe, are wearing the white with a little bit of blue trim. This is Arge Snyman's home turf, says Lilia B. But Ben Whitehouse, he will be the referee in charge of this one, Hamish. What about the two big names, Barrett and Honeycomb? Says Ruth. Yeah, there's a lot of star players across these two starting lineups. Leinster will be kicking off from left to right. The focus at the moment is on Argia Snyman and what he is able to do in front of a South African crowd. The Bulls must bring their A game or else, says George, but it's going to be kicked off by Ross Byrne, and we are underway now for this matchup. Nicely taken by Kirsten inside of the 22. Bulls have a talent of making hard work of something like Lowell, says Albert. Roll back. And now chance to kick this one towards the touchline for Ambroise Papier. It's a really good kick on it. That is possibly the best kick we will see from inside of a 22 all throughout the game, and we're only 28 seconds in. Zebre can also beat the Sharks, and then the Bulls can also, can almost beat the Sharks, and the Bulls can almost beat Leinster. So he's on the right, and I all go on the Bulls watching in the pub in Glasgow. And still annoyed Munster, we're done last night, says Patrick. Now ready for this line-out throw, it will be Aka van der Merwe. In fact, it doesn't look like Aka, though. It looks like maybe they've got someone else who is starting in the number 2 jersey rather than him. Maybe a late exclusion from the lineup. Pressure being put on from... Hang on, Aka van der Merwe is out there. Who did that line-out throw? Oh, sorry, yeah, no. It's John McKee, my bad. I was so confused there for a second. I'm used to the Bulls being the lighter blue side, but we've got to remember Leinster are in the light blue and white for this contest. Aka van der Merwe now does have the possession. It's very quiet in Pretoria right now. And let's see some red, says Caitlin in there as well. I think it just changed colour just like that, didn't it? The face just seems to be on a timer, you could say. It's very quiet in Pretoria right now. No cars, can hear a fly fart, says Albert. And also, we their Sharks will not beat Leinster with a performance like that. It was a scrappy affair, says Morné Lagrange. And there might be a bit of scrappiness in this contest too, of course. Leinster won't be at their best yet. Well, they're missing 17 players, so that will hurt you a little bit. Speaking of hurt, it looks like one of the Leinster players are already down. I think it was Deegan. But yeah, just checking on him at the moment, getting some sort of strapping on the hand. And dislocated finger, says Jimbo. Yeah, the last thing that you really want right early on is, I'm running naked over this field. If we win this game to go the Bulls, says Martin. There's going to be some good tries quickly, says Ruth. We will go like this. We will once again have a look. Can we see the odds on this one? Or is it... No, it's all suspended. The money line, though, has the Bulls as a minus 8.5, which means they are expecting the Bulls to win this game by around 9 points for this match. This is about 28 metres from the line as well, I should mention. And Keegan Johannes ready to line it up. And he has got it over. Early lead here for the Bulls. 2 minutes into the contest. And they strike first at home. La Rochelle playing today. Would be nice to know how they do today. Says on the right, who are they playing in their top 14 match? Do let me know. We will, of course, also keep you updated with what is happening in the Storm and Scarlets game. Currently 0-0 in that one. And Caitlin, hello. Have fun. Good game, Bulls. Says Ruth. Another Niskeri as a prop swing and a boot at a loose ball, says Jimbo. Yeah, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? I was bored at work and made it. You read stuff, my apologies, says One Beer Bosch. It is all right. We are used to reading a whole heap of randomness. Currently, La Rochelle leading by 3 up against Castro Ducey. Down towards the 22, Leinster will return fire with kick off the left boot. Now just outside of the 22 for Keegan Johannes. And Glasgow has BMT. As soon as URC final last year and BMT win against Munster last night, Munster will be kicking themselves, says Eric. Loose ball bouncing, beautifully chipped in behind for Leinster. And chance just short of the try line for Tommy O'Brien. McGrath goes off to the right. Deegan tries to get over the try line. Akafandamurva, the desperation in the breakdown there. Now McGrath goes across. This is going to be a try. Geordie Barrett runs it in. And Leinster score the first try of the match. It might have been first points for the Bulls, but the gap started opening up. You just can't get rid of Geordie Barrett, says Jimbo. Psychology will be a boost of the Bulls if we win. We see it there coming towards it. I think it was Keegan Johannes trying to cut it off. Then Villy LaRue committed beautiful skills from Tommy O'Brien. And hi, darling Ruth. Says Caitlin in there as well. I'm breaking my phone. But now that kick has gone over. And that is going to make the score 4.5 minutes in. 7 points to 3. And that changed the odds. We do now see the favourites of Leinster. Surely not. Not just with that one moment. I recommend you use Flashscore for following scores of different games simultaneously. Says on the right. I have got a few other tabs open as well. Now, ready to kick this one off long. I have kept very quiet regarding this game. And that one has gone into touch. But now, Ross Byrne does what he needed to, just getting it out of there. I think it's time that we sell Willie. He can go retire. Oh, the thing is, though, he wasn't doing too bad at number 10. You know, they made the switch, though. So I assume that is based off injury, because or else then I would have kept him as that number 10 option. He was actually linking up quite nicely. Richard Creel drops that ball. It's going to be kicked downfield. Now chance for Leinster to be able to chase after this one. The ball is bouncing furiously towards that dead ball line, but Ambroise Papier does manage to get it. And Hamish is going to score the next try, says Ruth. I'm terrible at predictions, to be honest. As you guys know, I should have picked Geordie Barrett. I don't know why I didn't. He's like the only New Zealander out there. And I was like, David Creel, going to be scoring it. Now goal line dropout. Jimmy O'Brien. Going to be James Colehane. McGrath. Going off to the left-hand side. Good hands. A little kick in behind. Oh, that's too much. Oh, no, it's going to pull up in the in-goal area. And Villy LaRue, he's going to say, yep, we'll just go for that goal line dropout. Dropped it onto his foot to kick it. I'm so many ways, Ruth. Says Caitlin. Now goal line dropout. Mad that Frawley can't get into the Leinster B starting 15. You're having him off the bench. I wonder whether or not that is more so, though, just to have his, not so much even experience, but just to have his kicking later on in the game. I mean, we saw what happened when he did get that chance late in the drop kick situation in international rugby. All short ball from Barrett. It wasn't expected, though, from Will Connors. So it's going to be the knock. Oh, he's wobbly. He's trying to stand back up. I've told him pretty much, settle down, mate. Stay still. In so many ways, says Caitlin. Hamish mispractices predictions. He might eventually get good at it. I just don't think I will. I think I'm stuck in a scenario of it's almost more obvious that I'm going to get it wrong. So you could almost say, whatever I say, go against that, and you'd probably do all right. You know? Saracens score a try in the 5th minute versus the Quins. That's also a massive game that I wish wasn't happening at the same time as this one. But yeah, just got the knee, unfortunately, to the side of the head from Tshakveni. And the other game, currently 11 minutes in, 0-0. between the Scarlets and the Stormers, and La Rochelle Castres are sitting at 12 all with only a few minutes left. And Outsats his day over. Yeah, they're just checking on his neck. James Coldane. Looking at who they have got off the bench. They've got Scott Penny, but of course they wouldn't have wanted to use him right now. I think that they would have definitely wanted him on at about maybe 50 minutes or so rather than this very second. But he will have to go off for that HIA. And like I said, he kind of fell forward, didn't he, afterwards. So it's a tricky one in that regard. The Sharks need the Bulls to tire out Leinster, says Lilia B. Currently, the Bulls are sitting in 4th place. If they were to win this game, they would go back above of the Sharks, who did overtake them in just recent times. So yes, they just got themselves the win over Zebre by the 1 point, but they did receive the full 5 from that contest. And Sharks need the Bulls to tire out Leinster. And of course, like you just said there, the Sharks, they'll be taking on Leinster next week. The Bulls will be going up against Zebre, and perhaps they'll look at that game a little bit more seriousness now after the most recent performance we've seen. But it could also be the case of Zebre have had their big game. And of course, it was a huge one up against the Sharks, but currently 40 metres out from their line, kicking Johannes. Going across to David Grell. I said he would score before the end of this game, so hopefully we see it. That's going to be a nice inside ball to Sebastian de Klerk. Going for the chip and chase. Awkward bounce, knocks the ball on, and cleaned up by Jimmy O'Brien. Now off to the right-hand side. Ross Byrne. And that one goes into that South Africa wingers a fire. Yeah, pure pace down the wing. You'll see that pretty much with every single side. Here comes Villy LaRue. And de Klerk. Says Ruth, are we on the same boat, Hamish? As soon as I declare my support, my team starts losing. I really should SDFU. Says Neil. Yeah, that's the thing, though. I don't even have a team, and I still jinx sides anytime I open my mouth. Oh, that looks like another injury. Oh, same guy, different guy. That might have been Max Deegan who's gone down with a head knock now. That would be losing 2 loose forwards within 10 minutes for Leinster. Now Villy Lalou, little pop pass up to Sebastian de Klerk. When do you ever sleep, Hamish? This middle of the night for you, says Louis. I will sleep soon. Like after this game, I'll probably get about 3 hours, and then I've got cricket prize giving, and then I might sneak a couple more hours during the day, and then, you know, go back to sleep at night. But we have, of course, also got the Western Force Fiji and Draw Super Rugby stream. So got a little bit of muddling around and organising to do, I guess you could say, so that we find some sort of sleep. But honestly, if I get like 3 hours after this live stream, I should be right. Hamish looks frozen on my TV screen, says George. Sometimes I just make that face. I've just completely stumped. And I'm great at predicting my team Scarlets and Wales results. Loss, says Flesh in there. Deegan self-inflicted. He should get a yellow with no arms. Can you please say ANC will win? I have no idea who that is, though. And told you, Hamish, the Bulls will find a way to make hard work of something like. Says Albert. Yeah, so Deegan's going to make his way from the field now. I believe that is both of them. Going off for the head injury assessment. Yeah, I just wanted you to jinx it, says JP. And we have got there, that is the Bulls for you. All out attack sideways, says Eric. Oh no, so that's going to be Deegan on now. So Deegan's on for him. It must be Alex Soroka who was on there. Luckily, they've gone with that 6-2 split here, Leinster, or else they'd be in quite a bit of trouble. But even so, they are still not in the prime position to have those 2 injuries. And we have got there, can win a World Cup, says Martin. Aka van der Merwe loves playing that aggressive style. Penny for Deegan, says Jimbo. And yeah, so Rocker for Culdane, I believe. The other switch they made. Talking about the guys who are away from this Leinster side. Possession is 55% in favour of the Bulls just currently, but Leinster, they'll be looking to get back into this one a little bit. And the thing is, I say get back into it, they are leading. Got themselves the 4-point lead after their try of Geordie Barrett. Kicking down towards the touchline for McGrath. Doesn't get a huge amount of distance on it. So boring this Groundhog Day Bulls Rugby. Leinster's done absolutely nothing but leads 7-3. Says Eric. It's been an alright first 10 minutes. I wouldn't call it boring. I'd say that, like the Bulls have had probably about 3 or so clean breaks. They just haven't been able to convert it. Leinster had 1, and they made the absolute most of it. That is why they are sitting 12 in a row. Even with this side with a whole heap of players missing, they still know what they need to do to play that Leinster way. Hello, says George. Hello, George, again. And the Bulls scrum will win the game. Massive push. Right, over the ball on your hands is the call there from the referee. So it now means that they will be able to kick this one towards the touchline here for the Bulls. The Crusaders would be up 14-0 by now. And also, we have got the outcome on the Bulls from Ruth. And this is a big chance here for the Bulls. About 10 metres out. Nicely taken. And the penalty does go the way of Leinster. A little bit of obstruction at the jump from the Bulls. The Bulls must take advantage, or they will be mud, says Robert. Ben Whitehouse straight away went, yep, that's what we're going to be given. So Ross Byrne, he will be able to kick this one downfield. And it's a decent one down to about 35 metres out. And Bulls' big scrum let them help win against the average teams, not the top teams, as can be seen in the losses this season, says Eric. And that's the thing, like those South African derbies, they've just given away too many of those. Like in terms of, we've got it here, the most recent games, right? For the Bulls, we'll go there. 2 of these 4 games, they did lose. And I have to say, they shouldn't have lost that first one to the Stormers. They seemed like they were in control for a majority. But, you know, like that Sharks game, they just didn't look the part. The game up against the Lions, they did actually really nicely. Hello again from Zambia, says Jaco Vandenberg. Welcome back, mate. And what's that app called? Says TANZ. Which app we talking? The one that we're watching through it? Or like with the scoreboard? It is Flash Score. Arges Neyman with the offload. Oh, big shot coming in. That was no arms from Tishak Veni. He's not happy about it here, but probably a fair assessment. But yeah, this is Flash Score that we are using. And then the one that I did show a picture of was Tribe. It has all the tables and everything along those lines. Bulls just love making too many damn poofies, says George. Oh yeah, he did try and rap a bit. I think his problem there was actually he tried to make a tackle with the wrong shoulder. Okay, so it sounds like Ben Whitehouse says, I think it's just a penalty. TMO's saying, I'd like you to have a little bit more of a look at it. So that normally makes you think maybe they're going to try and upgrade it, which I hope is not the case. Pathetic tackle by Bulls' number 1 lock. Oh, I think that's a bit unlucky. They're going to give him a yellow card for this. They're saying there was no attempt to wrap, which I don't necessarily agree with. I believe he's gone for a wrap, but because he's tried to tackle on the wrong side, it means that you're not really able to wrap that arm around too easily. Okay, so they've said because he dropped to his knee, that's why he's lacking in control. But, like, yeah, I do think that he's a bit unlucky, but at the same time, because he made the wrong tackle in terms of getting his head on the wrong side, that's the biggest situation and the biggest factor there. That's so wrong, says Jimbo. Yeah, I still would have only given it as a penalty. In fact, even looking at it as a penalty seemed a little bit unlucky, I thought. And 12 points to 0, says Robert, for the Stormers. So, yeah, speedy start for them in this one. And he was surprised that he was getting penalised. He'll be even more surprised that he was getting the yellow card. We have got exactly Hamish. His wrong side is all, says Jimbo. You have to give it to Leinster. They can dig in any game regardless of what team they put out, says Fleshin. They're getting a bit of a telling off by the referee at the moment for not getting the numbers right. But yeah, like they'll put out anyone and Leinster will still have that same mindset. It seems to be drilled into them from the academies upwards is if you're going to be playing for Leinster, like this is what is expected of you. Leinster B team with Geordie and Ardegear is as strong as the Lions, at least so the Bulls are really underestimating them. You pronounce my name Tans? Oh, okay, I thought it might have been T-A-N-Z or something like that, but I can call you Tans from now on. Now going off to the left-hand side. John McKee trying to get the bump off there. Now off to the right-hand side. I think the biggest concern for Leinster, though, at this point will be the fact that they've got two guys who did go off with HIAs. That's the money. Off to the left-hand side, Geordie Barrett linking up nicely with the men on the outside. Ross Byrne goes to, I believe it is Osborne. Only sitting about 15 metres out from the try line now. McGrath goes to the right. Oh, sells the dummy. Almost went through Scott Penny. Leinster doing nothing else but playing discipline and waiting to play off Bulls making amateur mistakes. This is how easy you beat the Bulls these days, says Eric. And wait, sorry, what are you watching it on? So for me here in New Zealand, I am watching it on TVNZ+. Now passed on the outside, Philly LaRue. Okay, they've called it a good attempt, which is good news for Philly LaRue, or else if they tried to call that a deliberate knockdown, it would have probably been a yellow card too. They're going back for the original penalty for offside anyway. And oh yes, there's Tarns there. Lucky Villy, yeah, if that one sticks, he would have had a really good breakaway, although he might have only made it up to about 40 metres, I would say. I just feel the cats, they look at me and listen to Hamish talking. Says Ruth. Let me see it there. Cameron Hanekom was the man who got himself in an offside position, just rushing up a little bit too quickly. Now it looks like Leinster will line up for 3 points. Seems like a good idea at the time. We'll go like this, and we will go like that as well. There we go, and that one has gone over. Just now going to give them a handy enough lead. Sitting 10 points to 3. And Tanzania is a country with some islands and no deserts. And 35-34, yeah, very close game between those two sides recently for Sharks and Zebra. But yeah, the Sharks managing to get themselves the narrow victory. Oh yeah, 2 balls on the field, so that's a bit of an awkward one. And manages to leave it nicely there, Leinster, so allows the ball to go dead. Geordie's such a cool character. Says Jimbo. Yeah, he's just fitted in with this Leinster side so well in the short amount of time that he's been there, you know. He hasn't made too many really substantial mistakes. And he just fits in. Playing well. Stormers 12-0, 23 minutes in. Says Juan Pierre Bosch. Jan Hendrik Vessels, he will make his way on. That is going to be for Kirsten due to that yellow card that we did see of Tishak Veni. He will be off for another 5.5 minutes, that says. The Bulls, they will have to try and find a way back into this. They've been good at times throughout this first little while. They have to try and really capitalise here soon. Get their first try on the board. So we are going to ask the question, ladies and gents. It may not be the next try of the match, but if you had to predict which Bulls player will score their first try of the match. Now, nice attack and run from Hugh Cooney. Got a new member on the channel as well, Vicky Ornell. Thank you very much for hitting that membership button. You now have access to those emojis. Geordie Barrett, they've called it as a little knock on the ground, but they will go back for the original scrum penalty. You know, we pay tax here in South Africa for every try scored on South African soil. That's why we score more tries in other countries, says Martin. On the halfway line, hands in the scrum is the call against Jan Hendrik Wessels there. Aka van der Merwe. Okay, so you're going with maybe, is that off a rolling maul roof or just in general? Even though that's more specific, of course, than I asked. But Johannes cannot kick. Wessels cannot scrum. What a bad team at this stage. So here's Eric, and it's all down to that pressure of having a yellow card. It does make them have to make a few of those adjustments. Now line out chance here for Leinster. 20 minutes in. And John McKee again will have this line-out throw. They've looked for the rolling maul a few times, but that time they won't be able to, as the ball is set up for the Bulls after the steal. They're inside of their 22, so they will be able to kick this ball towards the touchline. What time you being up from? So I managed to get like a quick little 60-minute sleep in between the live streams, but like in terms of, with the exception of that 60-minute sleep, I've been up since about 8 a.m. yesterday for us here in New Zealand. So about 20 hours or so. We have got there, what a scam does the UK be if all brain, says John. What a scam does the UK have, is that supposed to be, maybe? First ball's tried David Creel, says Robert. Now that one's going to be kicked high from Luke McGrath. And that one's going to sit up of Willie Leroux near the touchline. He has dropped it though. And he does go into touch for another Leinster line out. Ashko, your super marathon commentator, says Roof. And later on today we are doing Western Force versus the Fijian Roa 2. Willie always looks puzzled, says Jimbo. Irish runs on supercharged Duracell batteries, says Jimbo. Yeah, I have no idea how I get energy at this time of the night, but somehow it seems to stick around. Right, another head injury assessment. That's going to be Ross Burnoff for Kieran Frawley. So 3 HIAs at the moment. We see Cameron Honeycomb is actually down with some sort of injury as well by the looks of it. Maybe that knee. Yeah, it's just that pressure that Leinster are trying to put on, trying to suffocate the Bulls inside of their own 22. I was going to go to the draw in Force game, says Tans. So in that case, I would assume that you are, of course, in Australia, but maybe in Western Australia, in Perth. Right, Ross Byrne, he was not happy that he had to make his way from the field, but I assume his mouthguard told him, or at least told the medics, that they had to do it. So at the moment, it's the discipline of the Bulls versus the injuries of Leinster. Eventually, those injuries might start to play a bit of a factor as we head throughout this game. 27 degrees Celsius. They've just had their first drinks break. We will get one of those in the 20 and 60th minute or so. Now passing it off to Osborne. Yeah, but I go for the Chiefs, says Tans, and birth my UK Uncle John. And I 3 cousins live there, says Ruth. It's going to be play on. The Bulls have managed to get the steal. Now going off. Open space for Sebastian de Klerk. Thought about the inside ball. We will run towards the touchline. Staying in the field to play off. Frawley wanted it. He asked whether or not he was allowed. I think the touch judge might have nodded. So he grabbed the ball, but he is in an offside position. So the penalty does go against Leinster. How did rugby players survive without all this technology? Says Lily B. Well, sadly, like, if you're getting deep, they didn't. They just kind of played through concussions, and then later on, like, the damage has been done. So, like, as much as people hate when head contact gets ruled out and whatnot, with the amount of older players who are going through, like, CTE, it's probably, like, slightly, for the best. And Silly Frawley says, Jimbo, Dans I was too, but have a family roast to be at. Now, lining up this kick for 3 points here for the Bulls. Currently another 80 seconds or so. Yeah, so it does become a ruck rather than being able to play that ball like he wanted to. Keegan Johannes sitting 1 from 1 today. This one 41 metres out. To get the Bulls just that little bit closer back into the match. And it's coming round, but it doesn't come round enough. And that's going to keep the score at 10 points to 3. I'd be disappointed about that one. Johannes looked like he definitely had the distance. Hamish, just remember, no man is an island. Says RIP, what if the man is floating on his back in a, pool? Is he an island then? Rugby is a full contact sport, and the decision to play on should be the player's decision. Says Albert. Now Johannes. Back off to the side. The ball is available. They'll drop it back into the pocket to Keegan Johannes, and 5th chance and 22 metres for the Bulls to score. No point. So 1/5. The story of the season, says Eric. Thanks for your patience and time, Tans. Imagine if all this HIABS was applied to contact fighting sports, says Robert. Yeah, and I feel like, to be fair, we haven't seen the worst of, MMA fighters and whatnot for what CTE they're going to have as of yet. I'd say give it another 10 years and we're going to see a lot of those guys probably passing away, unfortunately, and that's when they'll start to go, maybe we should, look at that a bit more, but I don't think they will. I think Hamish just undone John Dunn. Says RIP. It was the neck row against Akafun Merva. They were under pressure. It looks like now 2 men making their way back out there. Tishak Vinny, as well as Kirsten, did have to make his way from the field for the replacement prop, Jan-Hendrik Vessels, to make his way on. Nicely taken. Going off to the right-hand side. There is an advantage for Leinster again here. The Bulls currently find themselves getting penalised out of the game. It's going to be an advantage for pushing there. Playing at the Leinster 9, Geordie Barrett pops the pass up. Quick hands on the outside from Leinster. Almost going through was Will Connors. Time to score, Bulls. Sears Roof. Scott Penny. 10 metres out from the line. McGrath. Almost thought about the inside ball. And back to the right-hand side again. Now off to the left. Big run from Argia Sneyman, who still look for the offload. And they'll go back for the original advantage again. Bill's given up so many silly penalties, says Jimbo. Yeah, I think they've crossed off about 5 or so different ways of giving away penalties at the moment. That one is for taking a man out just by pushing him after he had got rid of the ball. A really silly penalty to give away, and Leinster have decided against going for 3 here. They want the 7. Okay, referee just telling Cameron Honeycomb, do not push that guy. And it was just dumb from Honeycomb. Sitting 5 metres out from the line now. Oh, referee about a triple blow of the whistle. No. HIA number 11 here. So that is going to be Andrew Osborne. I'm sorry, but 4 HIAs in a first half, in the first 27 minutes. Are we checking to see what's hitting these guys in the head? Or are they just giving them away? Because, like, don't get me wrong, they're probably doing it to themselves, right? But maybe one of those 4 is direct head contact? But it's just head injury assessments. They've made 4 changes here, Leinster, which is absolutely insane. Who's favourite? What our bets dollar between these two clubs. So at the moment, I believe Leinster have taken over the favourites position. All gum shield calls, faulty mouthguard. Yeah, whatever they've done, they've turned up the settings to make it super sensitive for this game, it would seem. Oh, another penalty. Can't touch the 9 when you're in the ruck. But it will be interesting to see how many of these guys actually come back from their HIAs, because so far we haven't seen any returns, so they might all be the right calls, to be fair. Yeah, 4 concussions in one game is crazy. And we're still, we've got 13 minutes remaining of this first half. Later, Hamish, catch you later. We will see you later. The joke is, they can send all 23 of Leinster to the HIA and the Bulls still won't score. So here's Eric. Beautiful run on the short side. Scott Penny, they just want to check this for some obstruction here. On-field decision of try. I've got the wrong ref on here. He's so annoying. Says just me. And Snayman, you muppet. Says Jimbo. So yeah, they will just be checking around the technicalities of this one. On-field decision was try though. So they have to find clear and conclusive evidence. See, Argia Snayman just going through, playing at Akafundamurva. It was a silly penalty to give away. That's the type of one that we've seen the Bulls giving throughout this match. So 3 is not part of the ruck. Or sorry, they've just corrected that to 2 was not part of the ruck. And then he is played by Argia Snayman. So that is going to be a no try, and it will be the penalty in favour of Leinster. Or sorry, in favour of the Bulls against Leinster. And France can't win tests outside Paris, says Albert. And also Snayman, you muppet, says Jimbo. Now Villiers-Leroux kicks it towards the touchline off his left boot. For the Bulls here, if they can score before half-time, be massively beneficial. They haven't looked like scoring for a little while now, seeing as given away about the last 4 or so penalties before that one. We will ask again, ladies and gents, who do you think out of the Bulls players will score the first try of the match for them? Argia Snayman steals the line out, so makes up for his mistake. Though, of course, they would still like the try that they were about to score. Leinster. Frawley going across to Geordie Barrett. Look for the offload, manages to find it on the outside to Jimmy O'Brien. Sebastian de Klerk kicks it downfield. Frawley is back there to cover. Stormers 12 points to 7. Says Robert. Sells as if he was going to chip it and then does. Okay, tackles the man in the air. A little bit unlucky for Frawley. It was Wilco Lowe's done well to get off the ground as far as he did. And that's going to be the penalty now to the Bulls. They should be wearing head protection. I do so that I don't look ridiculous when I am out. I carry a skateboard under my arm, says Bruce. We have good there. Come on, guys, let's do this, says Christo. And Nas Bota will score for the Bulls. Yeah. I mean, Leinster might be looking for a few extra players if they keep on losing them to HIAs at the moment. Now, it looks like some sort of lower back injury for Cameron Hane-Kom. He actually had a bit of a knee injury earlier on in this game, so he's been through quite the battle, but Wilco Lowe smartly done by the prop. The fact that he did jump up in the air, it meant that he can get that penalty as it becomes the tackler's, I guess, role to be able to land the player safely. Already 30 minutes through. We're going to see the replay here of what happens to Hane-Kom. Got the fend from Geordie Barrett. He just kind of twists that lower back, almost like a scorpion. Wouldn't have felt too nice. Honeycomb in the Wars injury time, shame. Let's see updates, Robert. I appreciate the updates. Please don't stop, continue updating. Sears Blues. Now, I should also mention that top 14 game that someone talked about. It was a 12-all draw at the end between La Rochelle and Castres. So, a very close one there. Johannes going off. Beautiful offload. Oh, was it Ford? I don't think it was. That one was a knock-on anyway from Creel later on, but I don't know if that first pass was Ford. We're disappointed there. Ruan Vermaak's going, didn't I nail that? Nas is playing golf today, not rugby, so he won't be kicking. Right, are we going to see a replay? Right, we see Ross Byrne. He's made his way back onto the field, but it does seem like the other two forward replacements have not. Well, the two starting forwards, at least. Hey, welcome to see Robert. So that is why Byrne was so frustrated with the decision that he was being taken from the field. Good to be back here on this, thank you. Says David, it is great to have you back. The Bulls suck today, says Albert. But the thing is, they're only down by 7. So if they score before the end of the first half, they could be drawing going into halftime, and then all they need is just a little bit of luck in that second half and a couple good moves, and they could win. But they have to make sure that they don't allow Leinster to get another try before the end of this half. And they drastically need one themselves. Ross Byrne going on the outside to Geordie Barrett, draw and pass. Gets it out wide, all running out of space, but somehow keeping the ball in the field. Play beautiful flick round the back from Barrett, keeping the ball alive. Scott Penny now up to 22 metres out. Bit of hesitation there from Ross Byrne. Straight over the ball for the big man. Brilliant still from Tishak Wendy. Had to make sure he got it right. Great strategy by the Leinster doctors, calling every second L player for the HIA, resting it and rotating, says Eric. The Sharks won and they sucked, says Robert. It's going to be taken back by Jimmy O'Brien, who tries to spin around the tackle attempt of JF van Heerden. Now Argia Sneyman going off to the left-hand side. Byrne goes to Barrett. Oh, ball goes straight into touch from Cooney. Didn't quite get it right, so will we now, the Bulls, line out. Just seems to be at the moment, anytime we're around that halfway line, there are big hits coming in from both sides, trying to force that error. In this case, it was Tishak Wendy. Got over it. If the Bulls are battling so much to Leinster without 17 test players, they should just give up. Says Albert, although the Bulls, of course, also have a few players out, unfortunately. I see thrown to the front for JF van Heerden. Oh, Johannes. Find his way through. Now, nice back line. Oh, knock on though for Stefano Jacobs. That's his first touch of the day. And I mean, David Creel's going, why'd you drop it? But to be fair, terrible pass by the looks of it. Maybe from the other angle it will look a little bit better, but it did look like he did drop it a little bit short of him. Both teams smashing each other. Yeah, some huge hits. There's going to be injuries going into next week's game. David Creel now, we'll see this pass. Was it a bad one? I mean, it was a forward pass anyway by the sounds of it. And Middleton 11, Edinburgh at halftime, so close game between those two teams. And how many international players playing for both sides? For Leinster, I would say 3-ish. But normally, like the ones who are playing for them missed out on the Six Nations, a majority. And then for the Bulls, they've got 3 in their starting lineup. And then off the bench, 3 more for the Bulls. Time is off again, just with another stoppage in play. Both teams smashing each other. Yeah, physicality has been the forefront of this match, as we knew it would be. Like, there was going to be passion, there was going to be aggression when these two sides went head-to-head. At the end of the day, it's 1 versus 4. It's the type of match that we could see later on. No first team internationals for Leinster, all on a forced week off. So here's Jimbo. I guess that's kind of a 2-week off, isn't it? Because they won't be able to play. Well, I wouldn't think they'd fly them over to play next week's game either. Our ball is going to be fed in here. Big push from Leinster, but they won't get the penalty advantage. Good pick up from Geordie Barrett. Tackled around 45 metres out from Leinster's line. Big shot from the Bulls' number 6, Marcel Kurtzia. It's probably been one of the more physical halves we have seen in rugby for a little while. No first internationals. I know I read that one, didn't I? I agree. If the Bulls lose here, they must do like Stormers did, win the Challenge Cup. Withdraw because they just too bad, says Eric. Counter ruck. Still on the side of the Bulls. I also just heard scrum advantage in their favour. Villaroo looking for the cross kick. It bounces out. And that will be advantage over. Exactly, hence chasing the 10-point gap before the Six Nations, says Jimbo. Villaroo shouting instructions from the back here. I don't know what he's saying, but whatever it is, he's saying it aggressively. Feeling like the boys maybe aren't quite doing the job as of yet. And this one. Now, I should also mention, ladies and gents, that match taking place between the Stormers and the Scarlets, currently sitting 12 points to 7. They are very close to half-time. How many current yellow or red cards now? None at the moment. None at all currently, but yeah, Tishak Vini did go off earlier on. Nice steal at line-out time from the Bulls. And Bros Papier goes across to Marcel Kurtzia. Gets inside of Leinster's half. They're being told to leave it, so that will be another penalty in the breakdown. And beef, how heavy are those backs? Yeah, they're solid enough. I think both are over the 900 mark. Do Leinster... Oh no, the Bulls are going to kick for the corner here. It's an interesting choice. About 45 metres out. Bulls have not scored any points since the first minute almost of this game, or about 2 or 3 minutes in. And they just want some sort of big opportunity. And like I said, if they score a try now, they move into the second half with this game sitting even. And getting over that advantage line, it's tough. Oh. Okay, 22's gone back off. Oh. That is going to be a penalty, or sorry, knock-on advantage for the Bulls. David Creel manages to get a good fend in. Moves up to 22 metres out from the line. Leinster are relentless when it comes to the breakdowns, and there's a knock-on from the Bulls again. I wish they showed it in the States. Do you have a VPN, Total Guerra? Because if you do, if you set yourself to New Zealand and go on TVNZ Plus, you should be able to watch these games for free. But you will need a VPN to set you to here. Go Leinster. Now watch them start losing, says Neil. And Leinster, depleted or not, are a great team, and the Bulls were always going to be up against it, says Robert. And MC and Sebastian playing well today. That is about it, says Eric. And just Slimani. And did knock it on initially. And there the amateurs knock again, says Eric. And there's been a huge amount of handling errors. I mean, we saw the Sharks have 20 in their game up against Zebra, who scored the try, says Jameson. Just Geordie Barrett, the only try scorer in this contest as of yet. They almost had the try of Scott Penny, but Arges Neyman ended up with a bit of obstruction off the ball, which did get it disallowed. Yeah, not a huge amount of try-scoring chances as of yet. Possession at the moment is 56% in favour of Leinster. We have now got another scrum reset. Okay, don't force your head out as a call from the referee. So he's just asking Wilco Lowe to make sure he's coming through straight. Aka van der Merwe just getting clarification too. Scrums have been a bit scrappy this weekend. We did see that in the Sharks Zebra game also. Bulls also depleted with 60s players, just remember that. or without 6 test players, remember that, says Eric. Exactly right. Like, both of these sides are not at full strength. Now, it's going to be fed in. McGrath, big push from the Bulls, and they will get the penalty. I really were very good. 1 pointer, says Ruth. Yeah, Zebra well and truly stood up to the challenge. And, you know, like, if the Sharks didn't have a safe kicker in Jordan Hendrickse, that game could have gone the way of Zebra. We've got to remember, Hendrickse was great off the kicking tee. 5 from 5. You know, you stick someone else there and they get 4 or 3 of them over, and the Sharks do lose that game. So, yeah, they'll be very happy with the signing of Jordan Hendrickse, I would think. Stormers 15 points to 7. Sears Robert for half-time. And great scrum. Better from the Bulls, says Jimbo. Anyway, Bulls are going to get points, and they have decided to take on the 3. King Johannes, he is sitting 1 from 2 at the moment. This one about 16 metres closer than his last, only being around 23 or so metres out. And they have said there that he has enough time to run down the clock so that it will be half-time. That kick has gone over. And half-time in this contest, and it is 6 points to 10 between these two sides. So just the 1 try. Who would have thought it? I think Slimani's just having a conversation with the ref there, trying to get the decisions in his favour. But honestly, scrums have been a little bit of a lottery throughout this matchup, as I do think the penalties to a certain extent have been as well. Thank you for the VPN and TVNZ plus info, says Rory. Well, hopefully it does work. Let me know if it does. Just because I know sometimes they try and restrict it. Like if you were trying to watch it on Sky, you wouldn't be able to. So hopefully you can on TVNZ plus. I don't think they're as strict with it as I've watched it while I'm in Australia. And this game just vanished from the Flow Rugby site. I was watching it, turned away for a second, and it vanished. I went in a more flowing match in the second half. The fixture is too tasty for all these stop-starts. There's just me and Bull still in the game. Good lad scrum, says George. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, being within 7 at halftime is maybe not exactly where they want to be, but like they'll well and truly take it. It could have been a lot worse for them. If Leinster had scored 1 or 2 more tries, or had that try that wasn't disallowed, one big positive, at least Johannes does not kick as bad as Marnie. Says Eric, and the Bulls back 3 looking dangerous. They will win it. Says Jimbo. And that is, of course, Ravino, Jacobs, Sebastian de Klerk, and Villy LaRue. Haven't seen a huge amount of Jacobs as of yet. But Sebastian de Klerk's been, I think, the standout for the Bulls throughout that first half. And then also, Foster's just doing well, shoveling the ball out wider in these matches. Or in this first half, I should say. All right, I will go like that. I will go like that as well. There we go. But yeah, so the yellow card coming for Tishak Weni was a bit of an interesting one. Felt a bit strict maybe. But doing so and giving that one away, Leinster weren't able to fully capitalise. Looks like it's getting to the evening in South Africa, sitting around almost 6 p.m. local time. The next game that we are covering on the channel, it will be starting at 8:05 a.m. South African time tomorrow between Western Force and Fijian Roar. So if you guys are keen on that game, of course, be sure to stick around. Be sure to hit that subscribe button too. The Sharks are very disappointing. They were, but like they won, right? If they had lost, I think there would have been a lot more outrage. And don't get me wrong, like 20 handling errors in a game is ridiculous. But they still won. And they still get the full points available. So as frustrating as it was, it's still 5 points. And it could have been much worse. Billy having a poor game so far. I think that he actually goes better at 10 now. Billy LaRue in this Bulls side. They're playing very good. Bring on Marco immediately. Move Kirsten to lock. Says Eric. And let's go the Stormers. Keep pushing, lads. Says Blues Nate there. But yeah, they are just showing that Geordie Barrett try, which is the only one that we have seen throughout this half. Today called a hiding betting. Rugby, see you Friday. Says Bhavani. And let's go. The Stormers keep pushing, lads. So they have got themselves the lead at halftime. The Stormers currently sitting 12 points to 7 up over the Scarlets. No. As AM, you're not sleeping. Says Bhavani. Yeah, it's currently 4:56 AM New Zealand time. But of course, I wanted to cover these games. We have got prize giving for cricket in about 5 hours, maybe even less than that. Actually, probably about 4 hours. So what I'm going to be doing is after this live stream, head into bed quickly, wake him back up, and go into the prize giving. Also, shift Willie to 10, last 10 minutes. Says Eric. Yeah, see, I'd almost be tempted to do it earlier than that. But the biggest problem you've got is if you move him, who's your kicker? You know, like, it's almost Keegan Johannes is out there. Like, you've got David Creel, to be fair. Again, too comfortable, Amy. Geordie Barrett, too comfy. He's got the big mustache going at the moment, too, I did see. We did see in the first half, Elliot Mees scored the try for the Scarlets. Ben Loader and Dion Foree, the two try scorers for the Stormers. How good was Sneyman? He went all right. He had a couple little moments where he wasn't as smooth, like the one where he cost them a try by getting obstruction. But still a dangerous offloader of the ball and will be handy enough in the second half as well, I would think. Are you married yet, says Martin? I am not. It's very hard to be married when you're single. But one day we'll try and get that done. How happened to Honeycomb injury? He seemed to continue. I don't think he actually went off in the end. Seemed like he just wanted to power through, but it was just an tackle on Geordie Barrett. He just twisted his leg round awkwardly and kind of did a bit of an extended stretch of the lower back. So they put a bit of ice on it, and they'll probably be helping him out during this halftime break, massaging it, trying to get it back to 100%. Single, says Martin. And we'll go like this. And we will go like that as well. Go here. And we will go here. And we go like that. And like that. And like that. I do not, Martin. I don't know why you couldn't just say it in English. We have got the Geordie filling in for Charlie Ngatai. Ngatai retired. I think did he leave Leinster in the end? Average lovely response, says Ruth. And number 14 Bulls player looked very dangerous at times, says it was George. One moment, we'll go like this as well. We'll look up Charlie Ngatai. How do I say that in English? It's pretty easy, to be fair. Like, Google Translate just had it as do you eat and then that. And I thoroughly enjoy you translating. Eating question, says Rory. Over there, Jake will have to give the Bulls a month full half time. Don't think anything inspirational will change their game, says Far Away. As the Bulls on the honeymoon. Did you Google Translate? Yeah, well, I had to, because I assumed it was something offensive. Because as soon as he didn't put it in English, I was like, right, this isn't going to be good. But now we have learnt that everyone who is single, according to Martin, is gay. Which is an interesting take, I would say. You need to go where you can interact with young lassie age. There's a lid for every pot, says Robert. Irish is single to mingle. Still enjoying his freedom, says Ruth. So Charlie Ngatai at the moment, yeah, I think he's retired because it says he was at Leinster between 2022 and 2024. So isn't playing anywhere after that by the looks of it. Last played for Leinster. Yeah, so I think maybe either injury or just giving it up. I'm never offensive, just asking. Says Martin, no sound Hamish. Says Andre, have you got me turned up, Andre? As I don't think we bumped the microphone. But now second half, I would say, is not a mile away. However, their single was nice, but it's great to be involved, says George. I'm sure your lady friend will be glad to hear that, George. What we will do is we'll go here and we will get some stats to do with that first half. There we go. Right. Possession is 55% in favour of Leinster. Clean breaks, they've had 5 compared to the 3 of the Bulls. Defenders beaten 11 from the Bulls, 6 from Leinster. So a bit of a seesaw in terms of some of those stats. Seen an 84% completion of tackling from the Bulls compared to the 69% of Leinster. Honeycomb stays on. My vote is Honeycomb scoring the first Bulls try. And the fact that we've asked that question multiple times and we still haven't found the answer to who will be the first one to score it. It's better to be single. Marriage isn't for everybody. Hamish, if we ever cross boundaries with our questions or comments, please do let us know. Says Lilia B. And the Bulls need to focus. They have this if they want it. Yeah, that's the thing. They're within 7. And that's where they needed to be. 7 penalties apiece, including the 1 yellow card that we saw for Tishakwene near the start of the game. We have a quick look now. Where is that sitting? We're at about 110. When did the half end? It ended about 7 or so minutes ago. The number 14 for the Bulls. Player cost them 7 points by not taking the ball in the air. Then also knocked again. He is very strong on his feet, but hands not good. Cannot read the game, says Eric. And also sound is fine, H. We'll go here and we'll go like that. There we go. These are the benches, ladies and gentlemen. Johan Rubala is there as the number 16. Jan Hendrik Vesels already getting a short amount of time out there on the field. And then Mornay Smith as the number 18. Ludwig, and they've also got Marco van Staden alongside Nassim Carr as the other replacements that they can use. Zach Berger and Devin Williams, the 2 back replacements. For Leinster, they have already had to make quite a few changes. We've seen Soroka on, we've seen Penny on, we saw Gunn on briefly, and also Frawley, all for HIAs. Now, 2 players have not returned, that being Max Deegan as well as James Culhane. But the 2 backs then were replaced once again for past HIA. These are the upcoming games taking place next week. Bulls versus Zebre. That will be the 1:45 a.m. kickoff. And then the Sharks versus Leinster is the other contest for these sides. But just quickly looking at the schedule for the 7s. That is on the 30th of March for us here in New Zealand. 1:45. Okay, it doesn't overlap with the men's quarterfinals, which is great news for the Hong Kong 7. So we should hopefully be able to do a little bit of everything next week. We'll look back at the comments. We have got their Thunderstruck sound engineer. It's all good there, Hamish. Stormers leading 15 points to 7 at halftime. It's not better to be single, says Robert. Marriage with children, or bring children, which is expensive these days, says Outlaw. And we have got there, I'm in a loving relationship with a lab pity mix. And a Marco will have a big impact. And also patience is the key, Hamish, especially finding the right one, says George. And come on the Bulls, says Sakabula. And there as well. But both sides now making their way out of the tunnel. We are just about ready to go for the second half. Come on, show your B's, says Morse. And the last scrum gave me hope, says George. That's the thing. The scrum for the Bulls, I believe, has been stronger at times when they get that rhythm right. But it's going to be a very intriguing first, I'd say, 5 minutes of this second half. Whether or not we're going to see the Bulls come out firing or whether they will be struggling to find their rhythm here. Right. And just like that, second half is underway, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be kicked off by the Bulls, and there's a big shot coming in early, gathered by Leinster. Now kicked downfield by Geordie Barrett, known for his long boot in the Southern Hemisphere. We've got the I'm in a committed relationship with Pamela Henderson. I haven't heard that one before, but it's good wordplay. I do have to give you that. Make a switch, Villy to 10, Keegan to 15. Says Leslie, and that's going to be against Stravino. Jacobs not releasing penalty. He's really struggled to get into this game at this point. Now Rossburn just making sure he is on the mark. Was Ben Whitehouse. Let's get that one into touch. And now the Bulls just win. Just y'all want to see. Or will win, sorry. Just y'all wait and see. Yeah, big shot on Geordie Barrett. He might almost have to go for an HIA after that one. Once again, just getting the head on the wrong side. They just talked about Tashak Winnie in terms of it was similar to his one in terms of getting the head on the wrong side. Going to be an interesting second half. Says George, it certainly will be, and already Leinster looking to fire out the gates. Moving up to 22 metres out from the line. It's going to be left behind. And then wrestled into touch. Oh, hang on. Referee's going to call over a player who's trying to tell him how to do his job. Okay, Stravino Jacobs has just been told by the referee, I'm the referee. Like, I don't scream at you, you don't scream at me. So when you're already having a terrible game, then you try and start arguments with the ref as well, you just know you're just in trouble. Kid Rock said being married to Pamela Anderson was like jail. Says Outlaw. When was shouting at the ref ever worked, says Jimbo. It is going to be the lineup for Johan Robela, who has made his way onto the field. I mentioned how there might be a couple early switches for the Bulls. And honestly, they needed it because functionality of their side. Oh, it's a huge hit on the leg of Marcel Kurtzia. Bit of a counter-up coming from Leinster, but it doesn't work out. Stravino Jacobs, no option but to kick this one downfield. Or sorry, Keegan Johannes, in fact it was. And Lol says, Outlaw, and don't marry a girl for her looks, Hamish. Trust me, not worth it, says Albert. Now, going to be a line out for Leinster, sitting around 25 metres out from the line. Now, Luke McGrath. Taking run forward, moving to 22 metres out from the try line. McGrath goes in behind to Argias Neyman, who does still find the offload. Anytime he takes contact, you've got to be expecting another pass. If you are Leinster, Slimani tackled 20 out. Now Scott Penny goes across to Byrne. Open space on this side. Oh, pants almost pulled down for Tommy O'Brien. Back across Barrett. Going there to a galloping Cooney. McGrath off again. Barrett shoveling this ball on nicely for Leinster. Passed out wide. O'Brien gets it in the corner, and it will be the try for Leinster. And it's Andrew Osborne who manages to score it. Yes, marry for money, says Suckerbuller. Leinster now taking a bit more of a lead. They might just check this to make sure that there is no knock-on in the process. He dropped it, says Johnny MC. If Leinster scored now, it's over for the Bulls. But they may have just scored unless that ball, I think he slammed it down. And these two offloaders, an Islander, Barrett and Sneyman. Wait for it. Oh, no. Oh, did he have control? I don't know if that was completely controlled by the fingertips. Although we saw one this weekend. Who was it? Was it yesterday's game? Moana Pacifica, the Chiefs. He looked like he had no control over the ball whatsoever. And they still gave it. So, on-fielders try. So, this could be interesting. They, of course, need clear, conclusive evidence, which I believe from the replays, if it's slow enough, they should probably be able to find. We're going to see it here. See, that finger almost is still on it, but is that regarded as control? Ugh, that's an ugly one. I wouldn't want to be the ref. Right. They've just said there, the TMO feels it didn't leave their hands or the fingers, although that little moment there looked like it did. So they're trying to say maybe still a fingertip on it, which would then be a try because of the on-field decision. Hamish, you got some energy, lad. I woke up for a surf at 5 a.m, asleep by 9 p.m. Respect. Second half for both our South African teams going to be tight. Says Nicholas. We do appreciate you, of course, being here. Okay, I think they're going to call this as a try. Bulls, you're running out of luck, says George. Could have dived, says Sakabula. Yeah, he certainly could have. Okay, South African commentator feels there was separation because the ball bounces back into his hands. This one's taking far too long, and as soon as it takes this long, it always makes me think that they're just going to award it. No compelling evidence, so the try will stand. Can you shout me out, says Robin. Shout out to you. I was too focused on Pamela, says Wenma. Jake must leave, says Outlaw. Okay, Marcel Kurtzi has just said, are you serious about that decision? He is not happy, the Bulls skipper. 44 minutes in. Andrew Osborne just kind of gave it a bit of a nod as if to say, oh yeah, I'll take it. We'll take that one for Leinster 2. I'm from Dublin. Nice one. So you'll be relatively happy, I would think, with what you're seeing so far from this Leinster side. Of course, it is going to be a tough match, but they're making the most of it. Ross Byrne, chance here to line up this kick. Bulls in trouble now, says Sakabula. Absolutely. They are now down by the 9 points. If this kick goes over from Ross Byrne, it would make it up to 11. Leinster don't have a good team. They've got a very makeshift team for this match, and they are still playing pretty decently. Ready to take this kick from Byrne, and it has gone down the middle. Making the score now 17 points to 6. Leinster are going to be hard to stop. Sharks will have a crack next week. So here's Robert. Hello and goodbye. That's marriage, says Ruth. And Jake going to panic and send on a strong bench too early. How's that everyone on the world, the 50-50 goals go to the home team, except on Loftus, says Eric. Yeah, I think the big one there was that the on-field decision was try. So as soon as I heard that, I knew that worst comes to worst, if they look at it 15 times, it was probably going to go the way of the attacking side. Bounces up there, but it's going to be knocked on by Roan Vermaak. And the Stormers 15 points to 14. Very close in that game. He's frustrated, Vermaak. He had a pass earlier on that was ruled forward. Better watching than this rubbish. Says Outlaw. As in for what scenario? Outlaw and Brian in the ocean, says Sakabula. Well, you never know. He could surf on one of those big machines. You know, one of those ones that just fire water at you, which people always seem to wipe out on. Hello, says Outlaw. I'm scratching my head for this nonsense, says George. They are just showing the next games for the Bulls. They have got Zebre, then Munster, Glasgow, both away from home for those two, and then Cardiff and the Dragons at home. So 4 games at home, including this one remaining. Have to make sure that they finish on the high. I'm subbing you, says Rowan. Greatly appreciated. Anyone else who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back next week with the URC, Super Rugby, as well as the Sevens that has taken place. Very poor for the Bulls, says Outlaw. And also, I should mention, during the week, we will have our Rugby 25 videos coming out. As always, nice step there from McGrath. Going across to the left-hand side. Another Fenn flicks it back on the inside to the try scorer, Osborne. Oh, I don't think anyone... Oh, sorry, we're still trying to predict who's going to score the Bulls' first try, aren't we? And we are yet to see it. So anyone who hasn't given a prediction yet, do let me know. I think we're seeing Creel and also Aka van der Merwe so far. Arges Neyman decides against the offload that time. Geordie Barrett with the little flick out the back door. Byrne goes across to John McKee. McGrath. Leinster, their position has been good in terms of that phase play. We have got there. Are you going to update that Loftus background? Probably not. I feel like it works well enough, doesn't it? Bulls probably realised they can't get home final if they make that 4 or make it that far, says Albert. Vili LaRue Kicking downfield, doesn't manage to find touch. So now Leinster will have an attacking chance 30 metres out from the try line. Kirsten puts in the big first shot. Johan Robela almost. Oh, did he get the steal? No, referee says he wasn't able to. Now Argeas Neyman again with the offload. Now into the hands of Jimmy O'Brien. Slimani plays half. A little bit of a loose ball there, but eventually sits where they want it to. Now Argeas Neyman, another offload. That's the third offload that Neyman's done, that the player who he's offloaded to has actually dropped the ball. But most of the time they've gone backwards, with the exception of this one, where we see it going forward. Stravino Jacobs in the background with a bit of cramp, hoping that a teammate will give him a bit of a stretch. Doesn't look like he's going to get one, though. Okay, I think they were just asking the question about something in the breakdown, and Robbie's on the ball. Ref does nothing, says Eric. At least they don't have an empty, stadium picture. Says, oh, what's wrong with an empty stadium picture? I feel like it's almost better, because then you don't feel bad about putting random people on the internet. As there are more games tonight, says Mohadin. The next game that we are going to be doing will be Western Force versus the Fijian Roar. That will be at 7:05 p.m. New Zealand time, so 8:05 a.m. for you guys in South Africa tomorrow. We have the old Geordies offloads to hand, 3 out of 3, says Jimbo. There are more people behind Hamish than people at Loftus, says George. Loftus is empty, just like the Bulls' chances of winning, says George there too. And update the Loftus background to a place where dreams die, says Sakabola. And on this form, Bulls will score no try, says Outlaw. Looks like the change is about to be made. Cameron Honeycomb to make his way off. What are your opinions on the retiring of Peter O'Mahony? I mean, it's probably the right time for him. He's still playing tremendous rugby, though. But I like the fact that he's retiring without a serious injury. It would have been a shame if it was, some sort of like injury to keep him out for 6 months that forced the retirement. At least he's kind of gone out on his own terms, which is all a rugby player really wants. Any team can just be great. Just add Geordie Barrett and Argeas Neyman, says Albert. This looks like Honeycomb might actually be going off for the HIA, in fact. Just talking about the Premier Division. I believe they did play earlier on. Haven't made the Loftus since 2010, says Outlaw. Keegan Johannes will be back in the pocket more than likely to kick this one downfield. Is it a poor attendance at Loftus today then? Not as many as I would have liked to see for a game between the Bulls and Leinster. Like, there's a few in attendance though, don't get me wrong. But there are a few gaps there. The price for tickets to the game today is high. Empty stadium, says Blues Nate. There's about 12 people on Loftus, the same log position than the Stormers, says Eric. This game like this should be packed. Two good sides, very disappointing, says George. And Benetton update, says Katzenell at the moment, for the way that it sits. Benetton, they are 18 points to 11 down up against Edinburgh. Scarlets, they are 1 point down up against the Stormers. It's long weekend. Most people fled the city, says Albert. That's too powerful to have them both, says RIP. Now the Bulls in possession yet again. Super Stadium or Super 15 stadiums were packed, says George. And Sakabola, it's a long weekend in South Africa. Lots of people on holiday. So does no one holiday to, like, the Loftus area? Like, does everyone leave there and, like, go elsewhere? Whether that's, I guess, Johannesburg or Cape Town, or that one's in the touch on the full. I'm going to go right back now. Leinster don't win that much against the Bulls, says Robin. And my cat is facing the wall. They leave to the coast, says Albert. Still 30 minutes remaining here. 17 points to 6. The current score. I feel like we're at a bit of a standstill at the moment. Surely 40,000 people still in Pretoria, even if it's a holiday. And come on, the Bulls, says Dylan. Yeah, they just haven't found their rhythm at all throughout this first half. Now, it hasn't started much better in the second either, but one try gets them back into it, but we are still waiting to see that first try for them here. All is there for Keegan Johannes. Unusual or usually holidays are when people should be flooding stadiums. No. Says Katzenel. Oh, landing on his face there was Will Connors. Villy LaRue. Does look like he's taken on a little bit more of a fly half role in the second half. That was close to a 50-22. Somehow that ball stayed in the field of play. Sravino Jacobs, great low tackle. Leinster have given away the penalty as Harold Foster got into the breakdown and was not letting that ball go. It's always like this at Loftus for long weekend. It's nothing new. Says Albert, they've decided to take this one quickly now. Johan Ruvala going to try and back his pace. Argeas Neyman dropping his head to try and make the tackle, and just out from the line, Jan-Hendrik Wessels drops the ball, but the advantage is over and it is going to be play on. And we have the Albert. No, I don't think so. Now going off to the left-hand side, Villy LaRue inside of his 22 and gets the 50, 22, or sorry, inside of his half, I should say. And that is a big one. Had more people today than Bulls. Says Outlaw. Hrubala versus Neyman Smash. Yeah, a big shot coming between them, and then just a forward pass at the end. And then Jan-Hendrik Wessels just drops it. Won't be happy with that one. And it summarised the game so far for the Bulls. Just the handling errors far too often. And, you know, it is just costing them. They've had many opportunities, but not many converted. Playing a bit of zombie at the ground by the sounds of it here. Yet again. A couple more changes being made for these two sides as well. Currently the same scores in those other two URC games. So Edinburgh ahead by 7, Stormers ahead by 1. They're both up to 60 minutes. It just shows how slow this game has been. The fact that we are 8 minutes behind at the moment compared to the other games that kicked off at the same time. Now Barrett passes across to McGrath. Looking for a 50-22 of his own, but that's just pull up about 5 metres out from the line of the Bulls. My two cats staring at their bowl. Always hungry, man. Could chase the rattle possum, do something, eh? Says Blues, Nate. Goodbye, I can't stand this poor game anymore, says Outlaw. So we might see you next week when they do play up against Zebra. And we're shopping in Pretoria this morning and not a single queue at the till on a Saturday, says Albert. I've never seen Loftus so this empty ever. Looks like Argeas Neyman just getting a little bit of strapping on his foot here. They are showing the replay of him making the tackle on Johan Robbela. Both men just dipping their heads. So yeah, they're saying it could have been a penalty against Argeas Neyman for a high tackle, but both men were dipping down quite drastically. I wonder if Mr. Mind is around here somewhere doing his best to behave, says ROP. And next we're going to lose against Zebre also, says Eric there. As Neyman's boot, size 87. And better to bri at home. I suppose, says George. So Wilco Low, he will make his way from the field. That is going to be for Mornay Smith. Can you give us a haka, please, says EJ. I cannot. Just because I don't actually remember all the words. We did have to do one at school for a while. But it's been a long time since having to do that. However, they know I'm tackling against Robbie's and nothing by the ref. Yeah, although I think they said that both men were dipping down and Robbela dropped his head as well as Neyman. So that's why it was just considered as a regular tackle scenario. And they managed to string some passes together. Some, but not a lot, I would say is the best way of describing it. And the Bulls, don't get me wrong. You've heard me say it multiple times on the stream, but If they score now, they still have a chance. But they have to score now, or else they will be in trouble. It's so flat and disappointing from the Bulls, says Ruth. Yeah, they've never really found their next gear, with the exception of a couple line breaks early on. It's been a long time since we've seen a clean break for them. What's going on with the Bulls, says Pai Tai? Yeah, just really struggling in this matchup against Leinster, trying to slap that one back. It's a knock-on, though. It will be the scrum feed now for the Bulls. One part of their game that's been quite decent is their scrum, so I don't think they'll mind this too much being here. Bulls have not showed up today, says Robin. Yeah, pretty much. They just haven't been able to get anything really going. And to still be tryless after 55 minutes is a really strange one for the Bulls. Definitely because, we'll show the table again. They've got a points differential. I think it's about plus 67 or something along those lines. You know what? That was a good guess, wasn't it? Plus 67 there. So they're used to scoring tries. They've had 8 wins. Some of those games they have won because they've scored 4 tries throughout them. Whereas this one, even 2 tries might be a bit optimistic. If Leinster do win this game, of course, they extend it to 13 wins in a row. And their points differential would, if it currently sits the way that it is, would be over 200. Georgia thought you live here, saying the long weekend isn't the reason for small crowd. And we have got there, I can do the haka boogie dance for the audience, says Blues Nate. And Adrian did not rap at all, same as the Blues props. Bulls props, so what is the difference, says Eric? Well, there wasn't a huge amount of difference, to be fair, but I do think that it wasn't a yellow card, or it shouldn't have been for the Bulls prop either. But now the crowd's starting to get their torches out by the looks of it. It's getting relatively dark at the moment at Loftus. And a neighbour's famous defence, says Robert. Probably is, will cost you a few dollars, says Blues Nate. Unless they're at the top, no surprise, says Robin. And there as well, making some nice meterage here with this rolling maul for the Bulls. This is their best chance. This sounds like 19 has collapsed it. Advantage offside. Everyone is who the ref has penalised for that one. However, the Lions and the Sharks in the Bulls game, the refereeing is pathetic, really, says Rion. That was a penalty on Sneyman, says Amal. I bet a South African team will win this season, and no surprise here, says Jackal's World. Let's say the Springboks played this weekend at Loftus, same amount of people, says George. Multiple players offside. Leinster's discipline starting to fall over a little bit, and great maul for the Bulls. Yeah, their set piece has been good in this game when it comes to the mauls, the scrums, and their line out, but it just seems to be everything else that has been hurting them. In my opinion, Burn is not good, says Robin, although I assume he will be replaced relatively soon by Frawley, like he was in that first half. So not all lost for this Bulls backline, this Leinster backline. South Africa team's actually just under par so far, says Rion. Now rolling maul, attempted again here from the Bulls. They've got about 15 men in there. Leinster trying to scoop their way through, although that was risky, and I think that actually gave them more momentum. It has gone down. They're going to try and check this. There's about 15 players involved in that maul, so it's going to be extremely hard to judge. So it is going to need to be checked here big time. My neighbours have just come back from the Sharks game. They are normal, says RIP. Right, number 18 sounds like he has collapsed it, so it is going to be a yellow card now. But yeah, I think the biggest mistake that we saw was actually the momentum shift there. From one of the Leinster players, he tried to pull his way through, pulled a player forward for the Bulls, and it's going to be a penalty try as well. So the Bulls, no one predicted that, ladies and gents. Their first try of the match was going to be from a penalty try. Right, and a man advantage here. We have their Bulls to go on and win now. Well, they have all the momentum and they have got the man advantage. But like I said, this discipline starting to disappear a little bit for this Leinster side. But yeah, it had stopped completely, and then the fella tried to drag it forward to try and get in there to grab it. And that's what caused quite a problem. But now, Thomas Clarkson, he will be the man off the field for the next little while. Stormers 22 points to 14, so they are up by 8 at the moment. So the ref scored the first Bulls try. I guess so. I'll change my mind. I don't hate the Bulls anymore, says RIP. Where can I watch Stormers versus Scarlets? Depending on what country you're in, depends on your options. I'd assume if it's on DSTV, it would be a separate channel to, of course, this one. If you've got a VPN, set yourself to New Zealand. TVNZ Plus have got the games for free. If the line judge was not, or did not intervene, I would have done absolutely nothing. How sad is there at such bad refs? Says Eric. But now it's going to be kicked high, and that goes out on the full from Leinster. They're starting to make many errors in quick succession. Okay, Albert, we talk again next time Bulls play at Loftus, says George. South African, says Winston. They are going to be playing at Loftus next week up against Zebre, I should mention, as it is their next home game. Leinster, they will be playing in South Africa up against the Sharks. So that'll be one to also keep an eye on. 21 minutes remaining. Gohan Robela ready to throw this ball in. Still another maybe 7 or so minutes remaining of the Yellow-Kaddish. Says Vieto Smith, and Leinster have found a way to turn the Bulls into Oxen. That's going to be a nice back line. Oh, Stravino Jacobs, that is a terrible choice. And when you're having a bad day, it is always going to get slightly worse out on a rugby field, and the penalty goes for Leinster because of a neck roll. Stravino Jacobs had 2 or 3 men on his outside, and he decided instead of going for that, he would go for a kick in behind. And it hits into the leg. Completely stopped the move. 2 tries for the Bulls. Says Blues name. Now, Ross Byrne in absolutely no hurry whatsoever to kick this ball into touch. They've got the yellow card too. Looks like Argeas Neyman just getting a little bit more strapping. And stupid mistakes. Says Sakabula, yeah, and that was a really bad one to have, as the Bulls had everything go in their favour in terms of momentum moving forward. Just needed to get the passing right. Right, one is making his way from the field. I think Tishakveni. Looks like Slimani. Is he coming back out here? Where is Ivan Soroka? Commentators are complaining about the fact that the line-out's not formed, but the time is off, so this isn't using up any of the clock. George, if this was a playoff game, Loftus would be full. Says Albert. And he's taken him off. What is going on? Trevino had such a useless game. Yeah, honestly, it sounds harsh, but he hasn't done much right in this game, other than he made one good low tackle that we saw earlier on. But with the exception of that, there's been very little. That ball's going to be knocked on by Leinster. So scrum feed now for the Bulls on their 22. No wonder Trevino not related here, or not rated here in the north. How did he get in this match? Another possible 7 points missed by his kick. Not Leinster on attack, says Eric. And Saracens leading the Harlequins, 12 points to 7, the 61st minute. And Slimani has to stand in for the yellow, says Jimbo. And Bros Puppy is struggling to get that mouth guard out. Leinster is a great team, as is Glasgow, says Robert. And the Stormers 22-17, also a 3-pointer taken by their opposition. What we might be able to do, with a little bit of luck, it might not work. But what if we try and open another tab? And we try and catch the end of that game as well. Is it going to let us, or is it going to say you're already on a device? We'll go here. Watch from live. We'll turn it down. There we go. And what we'll do is we'll grab this one and we'll just minimize it down to over here. Perfect. Right, and Bros Papier is about to make his way onto the field. Right, I should have done this from the start. I didn't think I could watch it on two same streams on the same app. But now we have got 10 minutes remaining in that Stormers versus Scarlets game. 20 minutes or so remaining in this Bulls versus Leinster matchup. Listen, Amish, this game is like Bucks Fizz, orange juice without the fizz. And we have them, please bring back Kirtley and Kanan and Pollard, says Rion. Now, it's going to be the scrum feed here for the Bulls, and they have got themselves another scrum penalty. I mentioned about it earlier. This is the part of the game where the Bulls have really found their feet, and that is with dominance in the set piece. The Bulls must win like the Sharks, says Roy. And my 27-22 for the Bulls looking good, says Jimbo. And good scrum from the Bulls, says George, and they will kick this one into touch with Villy LaRue. No, he doesn't. Misses the touchline. Such an experienced head. Be making a mistake like that. It's a big shame. Will he F off? Says George, but now looking for the kick in behind is Keegan Johannes. Oh, and drop cold at the back by Frawley. Players getting right in his face, letting him know about it as well, and that is going to make it a big chance for another scrum here for the Bulls as they continue to make their way forward. Frawley smiling about it. He's smiling through the pain, to be fair. Another change. Here comes Brian Deeney, and that is going to be for Mangan. Well, he either has a thriller or a shocker. Yeah, he can be a bit 50-50. Old Villy LaRue. Blue's going to score on this phase, says Amal. And I hope the Bulls end 8th on the log and win the trophy then. That will be epic. Go Leinster, says Eric. I mean, they'd have to do a lot wrong to get down to 8th. Like, we've got to remember, this Bulls side currently are 4th in the overall standings, and there's a bit of separation there. A lot of sides are fighting off the 8th, so if you're hoping to finish 8th, there's a chance you can finish 9th or 10th, and then you'd end up missing out. Yeah, the chances for the Bulls to be able to score right now are relatively high. Tackles made. 74 by the Bulls, only missing the 10. 53 made by Leinster. They have missed the 11. And close match with the Bulls playing not well, says Robin. Amat's sliding back towards 8th, nervous times, says Jimbo. And Do It Bull says, Robert, we got ourselves another scrum reset. They seem to be coming thick and fast at the moment. And South Africa, George, the South African teams are pathetic this weekend, says Rion. Although it looks like the Stormers for now have a good chance of being able to win their game, although the Scarlets are on attack only about 15 metres out from the line here. And big, says Robert, need another big scrum. Yeah, I do think that the scrums and that type of play is what's going to win the Bulls the game. A little bit similar to what we saw for the Sharks. I can see Mornay Smith's belly. I think his shirt's been ripped apart at the front. He's almost wearing it like a crop topper shirt here. Now Zach Berger. Feed this one in again. Looked like an early push, but they will get the penalty now, the Bulls. Slimani is not happy about it. Absolutely must to get the points here, says Eric. So the question is, do you go for the 3 to get you back within the 3 points, or do you go for the corner? I think that they have to go for the corner here and look for all or nothing. Going to be kicked to touch. They will be 5 metres out from the line. But also got to remember there was a penalty try for their last one. It's one of those games that up until about now, it's just seemed like the Bulls didn't have much of a chance. Whereas now they look like it would be surprising if they lost old Stolen there. And nice pickup for Leinster. Managed to get the steal, a very important one. Looks like they will be firing this one back into the pocket. In fact, McGrath is going to have a crack at kicking this one high and does so. We need some good lineouts, but that one was one of the first steals that we've seen against the Bulls in this game. Any replacements on yet for the Bulls? They've got Zach Berger out there. Who else have they switched already? We have seen Johan Robela, Mornay Smith. He is on there. So Reniard Ludwig might also be out there as no. In fact, they have not. And Marco van Staden is 2 now. And WF Bulls. So here's George. That one's going to be nicely taken though. Now they will be sitting about 22 meters out from the line. Zach Berger, he's been told to use it. Goes across to Mornay Smith, who's still having some wardrobe mouth. No, he's pulled it down. Okay, he just had his shirt tucked up, I think, for that scrum. I thought it was ripped. Off to the left-hand side here again. And behind, little chip attempted. That was really, once again, a bad decision. Why aren't we cool like the Crusaders, Hamish, says RIP. Bulls have been too many average players in the team, really, says Rion. Back across. Bulls find themselves defending again. Leinster just trying to survive while they are down to 14 men. And he did some ventilation. It's a good kick downfield and does go into touch, probably about 35 metres. Why kick the ball there? Says Suckabully. Yeah, some really poor choices have come through. At the moment, 76 minutes through the game between the Stormers and the Scarlets, and at the moment they are in the lead by the 5 points, the Stormers, so could be in for a win here. Leinster now going back to their full contingency on the field. And take that, Deegan. Off the field, gosh, says Rion, and terrible grubber decisions by the Bulls. Back across to the right-hand side. Bulls want to lose this game, says George. Does look that way a little bit, but at the same time, maybe they're just trying to keep it close so that they can win it in the final moments. Not give Leinster enough time to fire back in or something. Now drop ball again. Picked up by the Bulls. Zach Berger. That's going to be another advantage. And they'll go back for the penalty once again. Maybe the team wants to get Jake fired. Says Eric, and come on Leinster, says Robin. So backline movement here for the Scarlets. Ball stolen by the Stormers around the halfway line as well, I should mention. Currently 3 minutes left in that game. And go for the line out, Bulls, says George. Who's the worst player on both sides? I would say worst player for the Bulls. Sounds harsh, but Travino Jacobs has had anything but a great game. Probably about a 2 out of 10 if he's lucky. And then in terms of, that's a 50-22 for the Stormers. They've pretty much won that game now, unless something drastic happens. Worst player on the field for the Leinster side. Well, you'd possibly say because of how many scrums have gone wrong for them, you'd have to say maybe one of the props. But overall, it's been a pretty solid game across the board for Leinster. Now another line out throw. My junior school team can beat this Bulls team. No, I'm sorry. Says Rion. Ben Stiller's Severance series is currently taking the wheel by storm. Says Winmar. Now looking for the rolling maul yet again here for the Bulls. Another advantage going against Leinster, who are back to 15. But now they're going to be back to 14. The discipline has completely disappeared for Leinster. Oh, hang on. Right. So it's not a yellow card. That is really surprising. Definitely because, like they just listed, he came off the field, he's come back on, and he's given away another penalty. He was giving away penalties before he went off. A tactics not discipline, says Robert Wood. Well, those tactics are almost costing them the game. They're on their last warning again here. I believe the Stormers have just finished the job up against the Scarlets, managing to get themselves another try. So they might be the only South African side to walk away with a win, depending on how this one goes. And Stormers 29 points to 17. Says Tonian, and 7 penalties in a row and no card. Says George. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Williams, he will make his way onto the field. That is for Keegan Johannes, so leaving Stravino Jacobs out there. Can you please explain what just happened? So penalty again, just out from the goal line for Leinster. Referee gave like a big warning type thing to the guy who had already been penalised multiple times. So more of a last minute, just one more shot. Now it's another rolling maul. The Bulls again looking close to this try line. There's a new advantage. Wait, is that a try? Yes, it is. And the Bulls score. The only way that they've been able to score in this match at the moment is the rolling maul. But boy, has it been effective. Are you a Blues fan? They came second against Crusaders today. Condolences. Why don't you stream commentary on the Blues games? Says on the right. So to answer your first question, I'm not a Blues fan. I am in a certain extent because I like watching all the New Zealand teams. And why don't I do the commentary on the Blues games? I covered that game today. And we have covered every single game for the Blues throughout the season so far, as well as most of the games of Super Rugby. As the stadium full, it is far from it, probably about 20% full, if that. As Stormers back in there, nonsense away wins. Says Wenma, and Stormers had Feinberg, Zulu, and Damien back, so win with a bonus point. How's Leinster conceded the tries? Both rolling mauls. It's the only ones. They have been scored by the kick of the post now. It hits it and bounces back out. So that will mean that the score is 1 point difference, sitting 18 points to 17. Leinster have had no momentum throughout the second half here. Well, news to me, I think I just get notified when you do South African club games. It says on the right. Benetton beat Edinburgh 21 points to 18. So that's a big win. Definitely because Edinburgh were up, weren't they? 18 to 11. Scored that second try for the Bulls. That's actually a really good question. I'm not sure, but I will get the answer to you. As it was a pile of players. I think it might have been Johan Rubela though. But yeah, I'll just have a quick look. Make sure I got the right information. So try was scored by Johan Rubela. Now Leinster again in their 22. They'll be a little bit disappointed that they've let this game slip so badly. Benetton did the Lions a favour. Kick him behind from Villy LaRue, trying to skid it into touch for the 50-22. And Byrne, good kick. The Bulls, they decide to take it quickly. The fatigue will be starting to set in. Kick downfield, almost a 50-22, but it does go out. And the territory game of the Bulls has been insane this second half. Devon Williams with a great kick. Wasn't quite able to get that 50-22, but still puts them in a good position. I love Arge's name, but him and Barrett have been huge. Says Rion. You did pretty well as usual. Thanks so much. Says Ruth. In there as well. Thank you very much. And 10 minutes of scrum penalties have cost Leinster greatly. Says Anthony Walsh. And altitude helped the Bulls today. Says Albert. You'll have to have slowed down. And also just knowing your conditions. Being able to get those kicks right. Almost stolen by the Bulls, but it is claimed by Leinster. Stormers dominated in the second half, but Scarlets came back in the second. Stormers dominated first half. GG, the Stormers held on, and the last try was just fabulous. Says Viv B, and can't blame Leinster. Bulls back dominated and having crowds screaming. Says Jimbo. And 10 minutes of scrum penalties have cost Leinster greatly, and Stormers currently 7th. Says Tonian, so they will move up into the top 8 for the first time in quite some time. Bit of a bonus for them. And now not a huge amount of time remaining in this matchup, ladies and gents. Jimbo, the stadium is empty, says Robin. Nassim Carr makes his way on. He's got 24 on his back, which is a bit of an interesting number for him. First time since last season, lol. Says Wemar and Irish Banshees, mate. Says Anthony Walsh. And hey, what did I miss? We are ahead. You are indeed. Currently 1 point difference, lot of scrums. And the Bulls have just been dominating the set piece. And they're also really doing well with the territory. Here's trouble, says Sakabula. Oh, that is an ugly clean out. That is at least probably a yellow. Sebastian de Klerk just checking on him. It wasn't intentional, as they can see. They're thinking it's a red card straight away. And for that to be a straight red, it's pretty substantial. But yeah, really ugly landing there for Leinster. It's the last thing that you want to see right at the end of a game too. When you've got the momentum, Sebastian de Klerk unfortunately just did get it timing completely wrong. And he does land on the shoulder and the head. Either way, he is going to be out for the rest of the game. Now, to be fair, he tries to catch him a little bit, but by then it was too late. He had already flipped them up. Geordie Barrett making that face as if to say that would have really hurt. We saw Ardensa get a red for it, says Jimbo. They are just checking from multiple angles here to make sure it's going to be a red card. I said there wasn't enough player safety considered. But will that make the difference? Leinster down by 1 point. This one is not a kickable 3, I should clarify. Yeah, Marcel Kurtzia knows straight away. Sebastian de Klerk knows too. He isn't going to be too happy about it either, but at the end of the day, was a massive mistake. 5 minutes remaining here. And now the Bulls are the team that will be down to the 14 men after such a phenomenal performance from Sebastian de Klerk. Just that last moment making it slip. Unlucky he had a good game, de Klerk. And Geordie Barrett is key in matches like this, says Robin. Let's call it a day. Bulls 1. Now line out throw for Leinster, sitting about 42 metres out from the line. Just mentioned there that they have got Geordie Barrett, although those long kicks can really have a lot of pressure associated with them. Great decision, says Lilia B. And nicely claimed there for Leinster. On the halfway line now, Byrne goes across. Marcel Kurtzia thought about getting the steal on the breakdown. Arges Neyman again gets that offload away beautifully to Geordie Barrett. And they're asking for a high tackle there, Leinster, but they have not received it. Did the Bulls get a red? Says Robin, they did indeed. Sebastian de Klerk, the man who has been red carded in this match. Correct decision, says Lilia B. Oh, Byrne holding on to it. Passes off to Scott Curry. Nassim Carr straightened off his feet in the breakdown. The last thing the Bulls can afford is to give away a penalty here. This could cost the Bulls this game, says Tabiso. Oh, was it a knock on? No, it's gone backwards. I've said Nassim Carr looking for the steal. Has he got it? Yes, he does, and he's driven out. So it will now be a Leinster line-out throw. Geordie Barrett wants the possession. I think a lot of the crowd asking for a knock on there. Penalty to Leinster. 15 blue offside. Where has that come from? Couldn't hear you then, was the call there. Villy LaRue's going, was that against me? What did I do? Oh, they're going to take on the shot here. This is a big call. Ross Byrne, he's been pretty handy. Are we in drop goal range yet? We're in penalty kick range. And that is exactly what Ross Byrne is going to attempt. He's probably about 50 metres out on the angle. So we'll need a relatively decent strike. Of course, altitude will factor in the distance you get. Now, Ross Byrne. Why the penalty? It was offside against Villy LaRue, and I'm not sure what it was in terms of, I think it was a touch judge that called it, but they didn't hear it initially. And now Byrne lines up the kick. It's coming round. It hits the post and still goes over. So that makes the score now 20 points to 18 in favour of Leinster. Oh, taking the quick kick there and well controlled by Leinster just outside of their 22. Looking for the turnover. Argias Neyman does get the clean out. That was a strange penalty. It was as if they just randomly decided afterwards that, hang on, we better give one here. Who's going to win? Well, the Bulls will get, I believe, the last attacking chance of the game, as Leinster are about to go for a box kick. Or in fact, no, they're going to take it back into their own 22 with Geordie Barrett now kicking towards the touchline. Chance here for the Bulls. 100 seconds on the clock. Leinster's discipline needs to be on point. Thravino Jacobs, he's hung on to the ball. To be honest, the way that he has played throughout this contest, he easily could have dropped that. If Villy is busy having a stoke on the half time or half line. Now passing it across to Harold Foster. Argias Neyman doesn't decide to commit to that breakdown. Oh, almost the penalty. We need to remember the Bulls are playing with 14 men, which means one less guy in that back line. But it looks like they are going to shift it away to the left-hand side. Oh, Nassim Carr. He's knocked the ball on. And now a minute remaining. Now Leinster, they will be able to just use their forwards. And worse comes to worse, they have a scrum to fall back on. But that drop from Carr might have just cost the Bulls the game, and Leinster know it. They're going to be strategic. They're going to be safe with it. And come on, Leinster, says EJ. They're looking for the steal. Nassim Carr almost got it, so they will go back now for that initial scrum. Okay, they're not happy about it, but they did not go anywhere from that knock-on from Nassim Carr. Give me do support Leinster. I'm pretty impartial between these two sides, but we're going to see here the Nassim Carr drop just straight through his hands. Bulls have already lost the game, says Tabiso. And there should have been a pin, says Jimbo, and handling errors are the theme of the day for South African sides. And Ross Byrne, ice cold, says EJ there. But one thing that hasn't been completely secure has been that scrum of Leinster. So they have to make sure they don't get this one wrong. The live standings would have Leinster 13 from 13 with 61 points on the board. For the Bulls, they would still be sitting in fourth, sitting on 42. Stormers, they have made their way up to 7th. And Benetton in the top 8 after their most recent win. So the Lions actually dropping down to 10th. They're losing quite a bit of ground this weekend. Jake's love child again for the 100th time. Carr doing what he was sent to do, says Eric. Rice man out. Thanks to the Bulls for ruining Christmas. And thanks so much. Please remember us, says RIP. Well, we are going to be back in only around 13 hours' time. And that is going to be for the match between the Western Force and the Fijian Roar. But still 2 seconds remaining on the clock here. So, you know, as impossible as it may be, we've seen stranger things happen. But all we're doing is waiting for the scrum. The timer is now back on. Now, what the minute, says Robin. So, yeah, currently the way that it sits, there is the siren. Can we get the scrum in and out? Saracens 12, Harlequins 21. So another comeback win for the Quins. This time up against the Saris. Would have loved to have seen a win for the Bulls. Can the Lions still make the playoffs with the game? They certainly can. Another set or reset for the scrum, I should say. This is not over. It's very close to it. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're at 80 minutes. All Leinster need to do is get that ball in, get it out. Perfect position on the pitch. The Bulls win the pen. Yeah, exactly right. So, like, they'll still back themselves. Their scrum's been strong throughout the match. We could see an early push from Leinster or anything that could possibly change. Pick a number between 1 and 20, please, says EJ. 15. I'll go. But now, ball is about to be fed in. Again, it would be amazing to have all 4 South African teams in the playoffs, says Lilia B. And, another scrum reset. That push from the Bulls looked good, but the ball wasn't in when they did so. Bulls win scrum, ref knows it, says Bhavani. Scrum penalty, please, says Sakabula. Time to fall on your sword, Jake, thanks. But it's time to move on, says Eric. And all enjoy, see you all, love. I will see you soon. Amish, enjoy your cricket awards ceremony, says Ruth. And the last minute, many babies are made, says Robert. We're up to 81.5 minutes now, just waiting once again for this final scrum. The feed is for Leinster, so all they have to do is get it in, get it out, and they win this game. The Bulls would get themselves a bonus point, but if they can somehow win this penalty here, the Bulls, they will have a big chance of being able to steal this game. Ball has to be put in. Big scrum. It goes in the scrum, out the same gap. Ref has lost the plot here. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he has any idea how to control the scrum. And to be honest, I think that the Bulls are probably actually getting the better of this scrum too. So that's where it gets so tricky. Whereas the scrum about 40 metres out from Leinster's line. Leinster deserve to win by with at least 20. Bulls lucky to get the bonus point. Says Eric. But now still trying to fire themselves up here. Leinster's front row. See if they can, once again, just get something going. And g'day, mate. Says Namo. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're excited for the Hong Kong Sevens happening next weekend. Love your reaction, says Lilia B. Right. Once again, for about the 4th time, this ball is going to be fed in to the Leinster scrum. Jake will win the fight. Many more days at the Bulls. Big push from the Bulls. That has to be their penalty. Yes, it is. And the Bulls now have the chance to take on the shot to win the game. How horribly skew scrums, throw-ins allowed by refs, says Viv B. On this case, it didn't even matter because that ball wouldn't get out of there for Leinster. But now the chance for the Bulls to win it is at kicking range. It certainly is, about 40 metres out. But Keegan Johannes is off the field. David Creel has to take on the shot. In fact, this is probably a little bit closer than 40. If he gets the kick, the Bulls win the game. If he misses, Leinster will get the win. This is to end the streak of Leinster. 12 in a row they are sitting. 13 can be unlucky for some, but it could be the reality for this Leinster team if it goes over. David Creel, he's not going to take a huge amount of time here. Like I said, about 35, 40 metres out on the angle. He is not normally their predominant kicker, although he has taken quite a few throughout this season. He strikes it. It's looking pretty good. It goes over and the Bulls will win it in the final moment of the game. 21 points to 22 one-point victories for South African sides today. I got my 3rd costume prints done yesterday. Looking good. I head off to BKK on Monday. And we have got there another 1-point game. It certainly is. Why not go for the line out and trust them all? Well, because they just kicked the 3. Yeah, baby, says Blues Nate. If that, that sport well done. The 2 teams, and I'm so happy now, says Pai Tai. Another 1-point game, it is indeed. And we have got there, got the cash, says Bhavani. You really need to stop betting on these games, Bhavani. It's gonna get you eventually. We have got the Hamish Biscuit, enjoy the awards. Our F engineered that, says Jimbo. Yeah, that last scrum was so ugly. And honestly, it could have gone anywhere for that one, but in the end, the Bulls, throughout the game, they have had that stronger scrum, and they got a really good early shove. And I think it was actually the replacement hooker. He just missed the hook, and the ball was still stuck in there. But the chairman of the Bulls celebrating that one big time because he knew that they were going to be in a bit of trouble if they had lost that one. And the Bulls are Leinster's nemesis, says Just Me. And yeah, as well. But it is the win for the Bulls. David Creel, he would have been nervous. He's one of those guys that he's had a lot of pressure on him before when it comes to the kicking tee, but he's been cool, calm, and collected and slotted that one straight over. Thanks, bud. See you later. Go Bulls. Give it the horns. I predict Bulls back to win it. Says Jimbo. And OMG, well done, Bulls, despite some poor play from both sides. And Lecker Bulls, says Derek. And thank you, H. Says Robert, no worries at all. Yeah, like I said, we have got another live stream in 13 hours' time. That will be the Western Force taking on the Fijian Roar. So if you guys are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. This young Leinster side looked disappointed. One of the locks looks like he can't quite believe it. And the Bulls are bullying their way to a win, says the B. So yeah, they pretty much did exactly the same thing as the Sharks did. When their running game wasn't working and they were dropping it too often, they went to their set piece. And they forced the opposition to give away penalties from dominance. And then they won the game by 1. Exactly the same as what the Sharks were able to do. And then Bulls lads should buy a few lotto tickets. I bet they clean up, says Dennis. And we go up the Bulls, says a Blues Nate. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.